Guys, my name is Nikhil, and you're watching Excel in Excel. This is episode 7 for Excel for beginners. And in this episode, we'll be talking about how to edit and enter data, how to use the find and replace option, and how do we use the text to columns function. Before I begin today, I want to remind you that I'm going to have timestamps on the video so you can jump in and out for your favorite topics. The first thing I want to talk about is how do we enter and edit data. It's pretty simple. As you can see in column A, I've got some random names, and if I click on any of the cells, I could either double click and enter something here, or I could enter text, James, for example, or I could also click on the cell that I want to change the data for, and I could enter my changes right here, something like this. It's pretty easy, I mean, obviously, to enter data and so on. What the interesting part is also going to be how do you find some data. For example, if I want to look for, say, the name Nathan, I press the Control and F button, highlighting my selection, for example, and I can choose to look for it within the sheet, or I can also choose to look for the name within the workbook. When I say workbook, it's going to select all the sheets that I have here instead of just this sheet which is present on the screen. So let's look for the name only in the sheet for now, and when I click next, find next, I see this cell getting highlighted. Let's see if there are any other Nathans on the list. So yeah, there's Jonathan, which again contains the same text as Nathan, and so on. Yeah. So when you also click find all, you will see a text with all the Nathans on the list, and you can just click, and Excel automatically just locates that cell in the sheet. What you could also do is you could replace the text across the sheet. Instead of Nathan, if I just want to maybe replace the name to Nikhil, for example, it's gonna replace the first one, the second one. So if I see what it has done, it probably would have, yeah, you see, instead of Jonathan, it's Joe Nikhil. Pretty funny, but anyway. If I just click replace all, it's going to replace all the Nathans with Nikhils, for example. And once I do that, obviously, if I go on search and I look for Nathan again, I should not be able to find anything because it's replaced with my name. So this is how you could enter, edit data, but also find and replace them. When it comes to numbers, it's the same process. I would just maybe highlight this, and I could find the number 6, for example, and it takes me to the cells which has the text or the number 6. I could replace number 6 with number 15, for example, and I could just start replacing all of them, or just click replace all, and there we have it. Yeah. And when you look at this column here, this column is actually the total, which is nothing but multiplying number A by number B. When I use the Control F function for replace, for example, as you can see, this formula here is B4 into C4. So look what happens when I replace 4 by, say, 20. So what it does, it changes my formula, and so the find and replace function also works inside formulas, not just for your text or numbers, which can be useful sometimes when you are changing a locked formula, for example, and you have multiple lines with the same locked cell, for example. You could just find and replace the formula instead of going and manually doing it for each line. So this is, yeah, all we have for finding data and replacing data and numbers. The next thing I want to talk about is the function for which is called text to columns. So text to columns is nothing but, I have a name, for example, which is Patricia space Thomas. If I want to have, say, her name as Patricia, and in the next cell I want the last name as Thomas, for example, doing that individually for each cell would be long. So Excel has a shortcut which works like this. I would select my data. So here I could either select Control Shift and down, or I could also use the Control A function, which means it's going to select everything which has data in it. Yeah. So let me just select the data that I have without the heading, and if I go to data and I go to data tools, the ribbon, the group, and I use text to columns, for example. So once I click this, I would choose the delimited option. I would go next, And I have few options here: semicolon, comma, space. And now because I have a space between these names, I wanna space them out in each different cell because they have a space in between. So I would choose a space function. I would click next, and now it would give me a view in this box, data preview, of how my text to columns would work. When I press finish, you would see that all of these names are now divided by space. Similarly, if I had some data, say for example like this, where I had Patricia and Thomas, I had Gary and Hall for names, and I want to remove that and, or I want to space out the names and remove the and in that case, I would just go to text to columns again, and I would go to delimited again, and instead of space, I would choose other, and I would enter my custom alphabet, or symbol or sign, and when I click next, this is how my data can be divided very simply instead of me going through a manual process. There's one more way you could use the text to columns feature. You just highlight the data, go to text to columns, go to delimited, and once I select, okay, let's not go. Let's go to fixed width. This is what I wanted to show. The third way is when you go on next, you could actually choose how you want to divide your data. You want to have a space after 5 characters, 4 characters, and so on. Do you want to move this here? Do you want to move this here? And see what happens when I do this. So it's going to have all the cells with 4 or 5 characters in the first column. It's going to have 4 characters in the second column, and so on. And once I do that, it looks pretty messy, but sometimes you want to divide data based on the number of characters that you have. So yeah, this was it for this class today. I just wanted to introduce the features of how to enter, edit data, how to use the find and replace button, how to also use the text to columns function in Excel. In the next episodes, I hopefully will break down a few other topics which are not going to be lengthy lessons, but will be more focused on specific topics. So I hope you enjoy the content, and if you're liking what you're seeing, please feel free to like, and more importantly, subscribe to this channel. This is Nikhil, and I will see you very, very soon.